Now everyone remembers seeing old places like this, even growing up, how their elders and family used to live back in rural America, especially here in Appalachia. I see them all the time, but I notice year after year, they're slowly falling down or being tore down and being rebuilt with new homes. So this is more abandoned places of Appalachia, a time gone by. Now, if you're like me, you travel these busy interstates across this country, from town to town, and you wonder what's in between them, because you don't really see nothing but some pretty views of the country. But you got to get on these old back roads, these old roads of the times before the interstates and the major highways. Just old roads. That's where the old times was. That's where our history lay. And you travel them and you see old stuff like this. Beautiful old houses, old times of our people. And in these valleys here, especially in East Tennessee, the Tennessee Valley, it's so beautiful, it's so vast. There's where all the people of our old times and their time. And you get up these little hollers, around these little creeks where it's so peaceful and so serene, so beautiful, just seeing nature. And you see these old farms as you travel these back roads of our old times, and a lot of them are still being worked, but a lot of them, people died off and the kids don't want them, stuff like this. One can't pay the other enough to keep it, so they sell it off and divide the money up among themselves. Well, it's gone forever. You see old stuff like this on these old farms. I do, on my travels, what I can get permission to get on. Old barns, old hay balers, the old places, and even some old stuff from back before the combustible engine. So much history. And it's going away for the sake of progress. But I guess I'm just old school, an old soul, I guess you call it. I love this old stuff, how these people struggled. This is an old dairy farm at one time. They used to be littered all over the place, but they're hard to find now. Very rare. These are just the remnants of what once was. And it amazes me, and you think of all the hard labor and the times that went by at these places, just trying to make a living, make ends meet, take care of the livestock. Here's an old barn that stood for over 120 years, slowly going away. This is on US 33 in Granger County, and here it is now. Big storm finally blowed it down here back in the spring. Nothing left of it now. Nothing stands forever, but it needs to be remembered. And they lived in these old farmhouses, big families, working these big barns. And times go on, family dies off, splits up, leaves. They have their own families, and they never come back. Abandoned places. Some of them are still kept in the family and tried to keep up, but them times gone by. In old houses like this, how many families is raised in these things? I often wonder, good times and the bad times in these old places. The families that went through here, all their struggles, the old structure, designs, beautiful old homes. But nature's finally just starting to take them back. Some of them are hard to find anymore. They've just collapsed, gone away. And as time goes on, somebody will buy the land. It'll all be gone and rebuilt, just in a memory. Old farm homes. I'm just trying to document what's left. These old places are just going away. It won't be long. They're getting harder and harder to find, I'll tell you. And here's an old place, looked like it used to be a store with a boarding house in it. This is an old place. A lot of these places I'd like to go into, but without permission, I don't dare. Some places I can, most places I can't, because I can't find nobody. Nobody knows who owns nobody knows what. But ain't these beautiful old structures of hard times? These old houses. And they're just slowly going away. What they are you can find. Year after year. But that's just life. Just think of the times and the families that went through these places. Old places. I mean old. Another decade, they'll all be gone. Laying on the ground anyway. And a lot of little homes out in these rural areas. They didn't have a lot of land, they just had little plots of land. And their homes is still here. The family's just keeping them sitting here, trying to take care of them, but they're slowly going away too. Probably their mom or grandmother lived here. In their memory. Some are completely being took over by nature. You can't even see them in the summertime. But oh, they're still out there on these back roads. They're still out there. Just waiting to be remembered. I'm just trying to document them to be remembered. These old farms, times as I've seen them, these old farms struggling, trying to make it, and the old houses on them. Here's an old one. Probably a little couple had kids. There's a little barn behind it. It's just collapsing. Going away. Here's another view. See the old chimney there, old rock chimney? How old is this place? And the struggles they've seen here. And the good times. Little old places where people raising a bunch of kids, all they could do to feed them, just to survive in these old mountains. They're all but gone. Here's one out in the field. An old place. And out in the middle of nowhere, you'll see these old homes. They just being deserted. All they are is just trying to sell the land now. The families are gone. And some are not that old, just outside these little small towns, these rural areas. Little houses, but they're just abandoned. Slowly going away. Just needed to be upgraded. And I see old stuff as my travels around these valleys, East Tennessee, Kentucky, Virginia, the old railroad. How much history is along this old railroad that's gone. All I can see is just a few things like this. They're all but gone. The old depot, just tore down, collapsed, cleared out. But there's a few of them around, but they're very rare. Here's an old place. I'm not sure if it's a depot or an old boarding house or what it is, but it's right on the railroad track. The times these things could tell you, the history they could tell if they could talk. And out in these rural areas, you can still see a few of the old schools, old churches. I think this is a church. It's still intact. Isn't that a beautiful old church? It's probably 12 miles from the main highway. Here's another one. And all these old churches are still standing because they built newer churches nearby. And that's the old church they used to have. But they're not being used anymore. And the old school, most people in East Tennessee knows about this school. This is on Boyd's Creek in Sevier County. This is a famous little school. It's still standing, but it's an old. And here's an old school in Jefferson County. It's about ready to collapse. But they're still out there. They're just hard to find. Here's a school in Sevier County, around Kodak, Henry's Crossroad. This is an old school. They try to keep it up for history, but it's hard maintaining these schools. Here's another one. Nature's taking this one over, but it's still intact. But for how long? Now here's a little house that ain't worth nothing. It's old. People probably struggle to make a living. But if you know Sevier County, this is right on the side of 66. I call it the nightmare, the Autobahn. This little house is sitting on 2 or 3 acres. That's probably $3 million an acre. That's amazing. $3 million an acre. And right here, the old stores, the old country stores, they was everywhere. Every little crossroads had a little country store, mom and pops. But they're slowly going away. Now, this old store here on Sharp's Chapel used to be a gas station. I can remember back in the 70s getting gas here. That makes me feel old. Here's an old road along 25W, an old store. Way back. It's about ready to collapse, but it's still standing. And the old stores, you find them everywhere. They've just shut down, but they still thrive out there. They still a lot of little country stores when I notice out in these back country. They're so far away from the main little cities and towns that they can make it because people don't want to drive 20 miles. And in my travels around, I see a lot of old vehicles, what I could get to. They're on private property, so I take what pictures I can. And I love to see these old vehicles just rusting away. Ain't they beautiful? Back when they made vehicles, not computers. And here's an old bridge. I may do a video on it later. This is in Granger County. This is a Black Box Bridge. This used to be part of the bridge from the original 33 Highway Bridge across North Lake. It used to be the Clinch River, but this is the old bridge. It's not used anymore, but it's over 120 years old. And most of the old places, they're gone. They've tore down, burnt down, collapsed. All you see is a foundation, if you can find that. History's going away. And old chimneys here of old homes. These are old ones when you see rocks, chimneys. I mean old. I love to see this old history. And you know they're old when they're made of rock like this. But I love to see the old country. I don't care nothing about this progress myself. I love to get in places like this and just listen to nature, become one with it. Well, I want to thank y'all for watching. Hope you enjoy these little videos. If you like them, let me know. I'll show more of these old structures as I move through the countryside. So I want to thank you for watching. God bless, and I'll see you next time.